Oh, I've been waiting all summer for this. Well, by Premier Sports. As always, joined by John Barclay, Stephen Ferris. Before we start, what a weekend we had of rugby. The average margin of victory in round one was 2.4 points, closest we've had in URC history. That's amazing. The fixtures were great. They were competitive. Exactly what we wanted. But anyway, lads, how are you? It's been
good.
It's been a few months, hasn't it?
It's been a few months. Shanks, we caught up in London, and it was good fun. Yeah, we had a good time. Obviously, raising money for charity, JB. You know what I mean?
You say it was good fun, Stevie, but laughs were hard to get, weren't they, on the mic? They were so hard. We had to work so hard.
Oh, man. When John, you obviously weren't there, but when poor Ross Harris went full Andy Powell for the last story, like, it just... The lead balloon just crashed and burned into Shanks.
Nothing, mate. It was like we had to pick on each other in the end to try and get
that's your speciality. You'd be loving that. Shanks, mate,
He finished it off, JB. He grabbed the microphone, of course, the sharing microphone. I said, well, what's he up to? And he goes, of course, Stevie, we have to let him go. You know, he's to get back to Belfast, catch his flight. Well, I think he's actually off to Turkey here. Mate, I get the teeth done before we get the hair done. And I get the biggest laugh of the day.
Oh, no. that says it all then. Shanks just throwing you under the bus. Shanks, mate, it's been a couple of months. I've been worried about you. I was thinking, what kind of shape are you going to come back in? Should we start the year? Let's have an honesty call on the scales. What are you saying at?
I don't know. I had a bone density scan the other day. And
wait till you hear this, JB.
Liver scan.
Well, I guessed my weight. I said like 107 kilograms. And it came back that I'm overweight, not obese, but I'm overweight. And I think I'm 27% fat.
It's like a pork scratching, isn't it?
Stevie said you're a quarter fat. Your whole body's a quarter fat. But honestly, boys, I got mental strong bones.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. How have you been, John? You've changed locations. You look like you're in a different room.
Yeah, that was the big news in the summer. Moved upstairs in the office. Didn't do any, lads. We had Ian Madigan on the game of the weekend, and Jenny Drummond asked him what he'd been up to, and he was like, I was in Mallorca, then I was in Croatia, and then I was in, Argentina. I was like, man, I wasn't anywhere. I was in Scotland, went to Ely, which is, if you don't know, is like a little coastal town in Scotland. So I just try to keep it humble, just keep my head down, look after the family, put in some time.
You're more about sort of half-term holidays. You like the 1 week, the 2 weeks, the skiing. You're a skier. Skiers
lots of skiing.
Joe Fez, the rich guys, this is true now, the rich guys summer in the UK or Ireland, but then they go away every half term.
Yeah.
Dubai.
Yeah. I don't go Dubai.
Switzerland.
You head to Leger or Avoriaz. Oh, baby. No,
yeah, and they save so much money because they've all got their own skis, they've all got their own equipment. They're just
ski chalets, mate.
Exactly. Anyway, boys, we are digressing. We must carry on with the show now. Normally we get a coach or a player on, but this time, today, we are lucky enough to get the CEO from the Dragons on, Mr. Rhys Blumberg. He's joining us. Rhys, great to have you on, fella. Thanks so much for taking time out your day. I know you've got a busy schedule with your family and everything, but let's start off with the game, mate. How nice was it for you and all your staff and the players to get a big win in the manner you did at the weekend?
Yeah, it's been so I started with Dragons about 4 months ago. And I think every pre-season I've ever been in, find the most optimism during the pre-season. Am I back? Did I go off then?
You're back. Am I
back in the room?
You're back in the room, mate.
You're back.
Sorry, I don't know what you heard, but yeah, off season, basically, I think wherever you work and whatever club you're with, optimism is always at its highest in pre-season. I think Di Flan, the team, he's for the first time since he's been involved with the Dragons, he's had an opportunity to bring his own team into the club. So his coaching team is his. He's brought in Fido Tiatia as an external appointment. He's brought in Ryan Chambers as the head of performance. And I think they've really blasted pre-season, perhaps in a different manner to years gone by. They've also recruited some players and retained some of the Welsh stars that were up for renewal last year. So I think that whole sort of piece of recruitment and retention has created an environment that was quite exciting pre-season. I think going into that first game against the Ospreys at Rodney Parade, as much as it was going to be a tough fixture, and the Ospreys clearly doing the best of all the Welsh teams last year, I do think that we went out that game with intentions to try and turn them over, legitimately try and win that game. And I think the fact that it was fairly dominated by them in some facets, but the boys stuck in it. And the last minute they managed to crash over for that try was not just pleasing, it was genuinely class. You know, sat next to the owner, the way we did it, it was so good to see. And yeah, thrilled, mate, absolutely thrilled.
Rhys, you've always been involved in rugby. You've obviously spent quite a fair bit of time at Cardiff Rugby, where you were COO. You've done a bit of time as well in Hong Kong. Was it a difficult move for you to uproot from Cardiff, where you were very much settled, and then change roles and become sort of the master commander at the Dragons?
Yeah, look, I think one of the things worth noting is that the Dragons have just got into a private ownership group in the last 12 months. And their approach to everything is different. You know, I think it's fair to say, and I'm not speaking out of turn to say, the Dragons have been consistently the worst team in Wales on field, and it's been a real difficult time for the region in the last 10 years, where they've constantly finished towards the very bottom of the league. So the new ownership group have come in with a totally different outlook. There's some serious players on the board who've got plenty of success stories in their lives. They haven't bought the club to lose; they bought it to win. And I think. And when I sat with them and spoke to them 8 months ago about their ambition and plans for the Dragons, and they offered me the opportunity to potentially become chief exec, it was a step change for me from Cardiff. You know, I'd been at Cardiff, as you know, for 15 years on and off, and Peter Thomas really sadly passed away last year, and I think that was a bit of a moment for me where I thought, right, it's time perhaps for something different now long term. And when this came along with an ownership group, I was really excited at the prospect of getting hold of it. And so far, so good. True to their word, they are absolutely committed to taking the Dragons to a new place.
Haven't lost a game yet, have you? So you're 100% record as well.
Not including pre-season.
Rhys, we had Dave Flanagan on last year, just come on the podcast, and he spoke very, very well, but he comes across as very measured, and I'm not sure he would be the type of guy to get really feisty and start knocking down walls. But somebody who was brought in, who I played against, who is now defence coach at the Dragons, is Philo Tia. Just give us an indication of what impression he's made on the squad so far, and obviously his huge reputation as a player as well. So he's obviously brilliant to have in there.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. I think his approach is very much different to a screamer. He's very methodical, and he speaks to players and makes them feel valued, and he's quite tactical and technical. And I think people respect him as a coach in terms of him being, honest and upfront with them in a way that isn't particularly aggressive, perhaps. But I think Philo's interesting. Obviously, without being on the field and watching him coach, the feedback that I get is that he's very much an alpha male. So he's quite sort of, the presence is clear, and he arrives at training. Everybody knows Philo's in the building, and there's a lot of respect for him. But I think he's also in his approach quite methodical and quite slow. I don't think he's a particularly aggressive guy in the way he coaches. And although he has a lot of presence, I think the way he deals with players is sort of, again, respectful, I suppose. And seemingly he works very well with Diane, as much as they're both sort of managing the group in a similar way in a sense. But perhaps Philo's got a little bit more of a, he's 6'4" and he's built like a train. So when he walks in the room, you do see boys sort of nod their head and have a bit more of a different experience from just speaking to him than perhaps he would have with speaking to Di. But yeah, I think they complement
will
each other.
Will he bring an edge, Rhys? Will he bring an edge? Will he bring a different physicality that was seen from the Dragons? Because that's something that you watch them year in, year out. You just feel that they're lacking that little bit of physicality. Will he be able to get it out of them?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's clearly got background in being a tough player. I think he's the way he's spoken to the players around defence has definitely come true in the first few games. There's a step change in the way they're defending. If you look at it versus last year, there is definitely a step change. So the answer to the question is yes. I hope so, and I hope we can continue that through the season. And yeah, you're right. Let's be honest. I'm trying to be sort of trying to paint a picture of Fido not being a big, aggressive bloke. He is. I think he just tries to tame that down and create an environment where he's not overly intimidating. But yes, the edge that he brings is different to anything we've currently got in our coaching team.
Like me.
Rhys, I was going to say, you're talking about, new CEO, new ownership, new defence coach, and Dye's relatively new. Big changes, and change is clearly required, and Welsh rugby is going through a lot of change at the moment. I guess in terms of your role within that recruitment, does that fit under that? Because I guess recruitment is the hardest thing to do. Everyone's talking about budgets going down, but it also forms a huge part of how you're going to grow this team externally by bringing players in.
Yeah, yes, not directly in terms of identifying talent, but overall recruitment retention panel. Yeah, very much part of that. There's 20 players out of contract this year at the Dragons, so there's some difficult decisions for the coaching group in terms of who they're going to retain and who they're going to bring in. And they brought in some really good talent this year, or we've brought in some good talent this year, and we've only just seen a few of them. I think there's Fanaki that we signed out of Super Rugby is just coming fit in the next couple of weeks. Big ball carrier number 8, so really optimistic and excited about seeing him take the field for the Dragons. And we've signed Harry Wilson out of Australia at the Waratahs, as well as others. And I think the next step for us is to really identify a couple more non-Welsh qualified players who can add a lot of value to us in the next couple of years, but also then look to make sure that we retain our big Welsh talent that has come through the region, people like Ben Carter, who are out of contract this season. And then perhaps look globally for trying to bring back some Welsh talent. There's a lot of opportunity in the next 12 months to perhaps bring 3 or 4 players back who make a massive difference to the Dragons that have left Wales in the last 2 or 3 years. So I think our recruitment strategy is going to be formed around those 3 things. So retaining our big talent, identifying Welsh talent to come home, and then complementing that with some non-Welsh qualified players who can add a lot of value.
You're not a coach, obviously, Rhys, but you did do a bit of a team manager role during COVID for Cardiff. When you came to the Dragons, was there a big emphasis on maybe just trying to get it right off the field? Because if you get it right off the field, if you bring new sponsors in, if you bring a new shirt sponsor in, you get it right there, you recruit well, hoping that transfers then on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So it touched on the ownership group. You're talking about 3 guys who are very successful business owners or senior business execs who've been extremely successful in their fields. So that's the first job that I had to do in the first 3 months, was really sort of get the place in order off field, identify who was, making sure that people were in the right jobs and that we had enough structure and strategy around what we were going to do off field. And in line with that, we have attracted some new sponsors. We've got a new front of shirt sponsor in Dragon Signs, and we've brought in a couple of stand partnerships that perhaps we haven't had in the past. And there's really positive conversation. Sometimes, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, when we talk to people about the plans for the Dragons and where we've been as a region, as I touched on earlier on, it's very difficult to sell sponsorship when you're perhaps towards the bottom of the league every year and people see you as the 4th best team, not only in Wales, but towards the back end of the league. But you talk about the plan and you talk about who's involved and how we're going to try and grow it. You do get more traction with commercial conversations, and you do get people to buy in a bit more. And that includes identifying talent to come and work off field for you. So, really optimistic over the next 18 months. And I appreciate it's easy to say, but there's a genuine drive to try and make a huge step change for the Dragons.
Yeah, well, that was evident, wasn't it, with the crowd and the noise for that last-minute try from Luke Yendall. Look, Rhys, we'll let you go. Thanks for joining us, but I'll let you go before you start divulging any stories about me. Just remember, I got stories about you as well. So we'll all clean, all good. We'll leave you there, mate. Hey, Rhys, good luck against Leinster on Friday, mate, and I hope the season goes well for you.
Thank you very much, gents. Nice to see you all.
Cheers, Rhys.
Cheers, Rhys.
Yeah. Looks like
he speaks well, Shanks. Speaks
well.
Good
job, yeah. Young as well.
How long have you known him for, Shanks? How far do you go back, he and Rhys?
I used to babysit him. No, I don't know, 15 years maybe. Yeah, so he came in as in the commercial side at Cardiff, I think just after I retired, but obviously, I still do a lot of work with Cardiff, so I've known him there, and I've known him for probably about 15 years now, but he did a good job, really well liked. And what he must be 34, 35, 36. So he's quite young, but full of energy, full of good ideas. And sometimes you need that. They're a refreshing CEO with looking at it from a different perspective. So, look, I hope it goes really well for them, because they're a team that have struggled for such a long time. And honestly, we'll get on to it in a bit, but that win was incredible for them on Saturday. We'll start off our review chat then with the first game that was shown on Friday, Edinburgh, Leinster. John, do you want to talk us through this one, buddy?
Yeah, mate. I was there. It was a good game. It was a really good game, actually. Leinster were quite smart, and Leo Cullen spoke afterwards about, they just put a few guys in who, in terms of the really experienced guys, and that made the difference. James Ryan, Jameson Gibson Park, Gary Ringrose. They had sprinklings of just the guys that knew how to get things done. And I think that was probably the difference in the game, because Edinburgh defended really well, but decision making, and Leinster just got it right when it mattered. I thought Edinburgh, the question we spoke about pre-game was can Edinburgh attack?
Yeah.
Now that they had 3 bonus point wins last year, that's the fewest in the league, along with the Dragons. So that was the question. They scored 5 tries. I'm not sure that answered that question, though. A lot of the tries was a maul try, and there was a couple of kind of just moments of brilliance. So they'll take a lot from the 5 tries, but we were chatting about Mo Sese Tuipulotu, Yoni's younger brother, before the game, and we were give him the ball. He's a monster. And what was the structure, and how were they going to do it? How were they going to use him? He didn't touch the ball till 60 minutes, so I still think there's a few tweaks needed from it. But yeah, the difference in it was Jameson Gibson Park, probably for me. I thought he was unbelievable. Just kicks.
Wicked haircut now.
Yeah, he's bit the bullet. He's bit the bullet with the hair. So, but yeah, it was a good game. Packed out at the Hive. What else would I say about it?
Do you think, John? Do you think that I know they lost the game, but there'll be Edinburgh supporters and fans come away from that, feeling fairly positive because of the way they played?
Yeah, they didn't sort of
give up.
They didn't sort of roll over, and that was the good thing about it. They scored at the end. They got 2 bonus points against a good Leinster side.
Yeah.
And the problem is they're going to go to South Africa, or they're in South Africa now. They've got 2 South African games, and they come back and they've got to play the Stormers. It's not unfeasible that they're 0 from 4, because it's so hard to go to South Africa and play. I don't know what the stats are, but it's not high in terms of the wins over there. And you got the Stormers, and it'll be a reasonably fast track still in October. So they played Ross Thompson at 10, which is interesting. Obviously, Ben Healy was the go-to guy, and Ross came in and started with Ali Price. Yeah, that'll be the big decision. Who plays at 10 all year, and probably who plays at 9. Ali Price really struggled in the game. Box kick in. So I thought the pack was good. I thought Ben Muncaster was unbelievably good. And Jimmy Ritchie was good as well. So yeah, I think the good signs, but that was Edinburgh fully loaded. Buffelli didn't play, and he pulled out in the warm-up. He was on the bench anyway, but that's them. That's pretty much them at full tilt. So yeah.
I don't know what you think, John. I just feel that Edinburgh switch off. A couple of moments in the game, they switched off. It was the Ali Price box kick. And as soon as he kicked it, he looked at the ground and was like, oh, God, I can't believe it did that. Before he knew it, I think it was it Tector or one of the wingers for Leinster had caught the ball. And next thing, Ali got show and go, and away he went. And it was a try. The Gibson Park try as well, coming back against the green, just switched off for 1 second. Next thing, fended. Duan van der Merwe comes across, should have absolutely flattened him. He gets fended off. And it's just they're always susceptible to 2 or 3 moments in a game that they just switch off. And if you come up against a half-decent Leinster side, they will punish you. And yeah, I don't think Leinster played at their very best to be able to ship 33 points away from home against Edinburgh. And there's been so much chat this week, Shanks, about just the squad depth of Leinster again, and Prendergast at out half, that he was good. It seems to be like he's leapfrogged Ross Byrne. Ross Byrne get yellow carded in the game as well. That'll probably not help him going forward. But yeah, there's so much quality there, and as John sort of referenced at the start, with 3 or 4 really senior players with over 50 caps for their country, it makes them a really difficult team to beat. But yeah, we're going to keep talking about Leinster all season long. It's just the point that we're going to make is, can they deliver when it really matters in the knockout stages? But we'll get to that in a number of months' time.
Pressure's on, I think, this year for Leinster, as it is every year because of what they've got, really. But they're always thereabouts, so can't get into them too much, I don't think. Next game up, we had Cardiff versus Zebre. I watched this game.
Top of the league, top of the league, top of the league.
Biggest win margin, mate, 22-17. Where they were good.
Unbelievable.
Where they were good. Sort of their strike plays, 2 or 3 phases. I thought Callum Sheedy looked like he had a lot of time on the ball. Doesn't rush things. I think he looked really assured. At 10, Ewan Stevens on the wing looked like he had a pretty good game as well. But Cardiff scored 2 tries really quickly off second phase attack, basically, which was good. They scored a line-out drive try as well. It mixed things up a little bit as well. And you can see maybe there was a little bit of Glasgow-esque in them. Throwing Mason Grady up for one of the line-outs. Never seen that in Cardiff before. Something that Glasgow do a lot with Stafford McDowell. And, they took a fairly comfortable lead. They were 22 points to 3 up at one stage, but they did really switch off, I think, defensively. Got out of shape off a set-piece line-out, and Bertassini just goes through basically untouched. You can't have that off set-piece. It's either the blindside winger or the 15 lack of communication and over chase. He stepped back inside. And I know often tries right at the end of the game don't really affect it because the game's won there. Zebre do score on the 80th minute, but I think Gethin Jenkins will be a little bit upset about how much they switched off defensively. It wasn't the high-class game that I thought we'd see. I think it showed Cardiff were a little bit rusty, which fair enough, guys. It's the first game of the season. They've had a lot of new signings, a lot of new partnerships there. So you let them off there. They won the game. I think that was probably the most important thing, and they'll move on to next week. Yeah.
Shanks, just a quick one on Zebre. Have they improved from last season?
Nope. I didn't see it, mate. I really didn't see it in the first half. They really struggled, and because I think Cardiff took such a big lead, I think they switched off. I thought they looked a lot of out of place in attack. They looked a lot of balls down. Didn't look like they had much shape. And I think they struggled. They did okay to get themselves back into the game. But look, that score doesn't really reflect the entire game because that last try was scored 81 minutes, so has no effect. But a little bit disappointed. Not the highest quality from both teams, really, but I think Cardiff will be happy enough with the win. Try and forget about it. Move on. Next game up, we had Dragons Ospreys. Me again. Now, this was a good game. Really enjoyed this game. Right, I love going to Rodney Parade because it's like Cardiff. It's an old school stadium. No, mate, I do.
Shanks, how do you like going to Rodney Parade? It doesn't even have a coffee hut. You can't even buy a cup of coffee.
I bought packed lunch, mate, and the weather was sunny. It was shining. It was great conditions.
Of course you did.
And the Ospreys scored a really nice try from Kieran Williams. From a rear angle, you can see Lloyd Evans just shoots out the line, thinking it's going to go to Kieran Williams. It doesn't. They sort of put it in the gap to someone else. Can't remember who it was. Who links Luke Morgan. It was who links with Kieran Williams and goes through. But it was good. Look, the Dragons came back and they scored a really nice try of their own. Harrison Keddy goes over. They go one way, they come back the other way, and there was lots of good players that stood up. And Iron Owen had a good game at 12. And look, there was a guy called, who was it? It was Luke Yendel scored the try right at the end, which was huge. And I said after the game, sometimes just a bit of desire and a bit of attitude will outweigh any tactical sort of nous you have or any skill set you have, because they just wanted it a little bit more, I think, towards the end, and it showed. And I thought it was a really good come back, and the crowd were rocking after the game. I didn't think they'd do it because they were like 2 scores clear, the Ospreys, with 73 minutes. And then Lloyd Evans gets a penalty. They get themselves back into position. Really nice little break. You know, sometimes, like, for instance, the World Cup final when England won, you know, had Matt Dawson not made that break, like Johnny Wilkinson might not have been in that position to drop kick. Similarly, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just proving a point here that Rodri Williams made a really good little snipe, which got them right on the front foot, which got them into the Ospreys territory. Then it was just about a little bit of composure. And they went over. Angus O'Brien looked good at 15, took some really difficult balls. Harry Wilson, one of their new signings, came off the bench, some really nice touches. I think he'll probably start next week. So all in all, in terms of the Welsh teams, I think the Dragons come out on top from clawing it back, digging in, and showing the attitude to win that game. And that's 3 games on a bounce, boys. They've won, beating the Ospreys at Rodney Parade. So well done.
There we go. We like
Well done. Good
Nothing
stats.
to add there, I'm sure. Thank you. Munster, Connacht, Stevie, Irish derby.
It's a hell of a game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good game. Not much tackling being done. I think Connacht missed 20% of their tackles. Like, so it's that's just nuts. Like, you know, skipping 1 out of 5 is just ridiculous. But Josh Ioane, what a find he was. He played so flat to the line. I think it was that pass to Shane Bolden back in the side to Ben Murphy, who was excellent the whole game. But every time Connacht got the ball flat, Mark Hansen, Josh Ioane, Bolton, it didn't really matter. It just, everything looked so comfortable until the yellow card, until the Santiago Cordero yellow card, and that just sucked the life out of them. Who was the third try? Conor Oliver. What a mistake. He's usually smashing boys indeed, gets bumped off by Nankerville. Nankerville just strolls in, handy as Larry. And then it was Healy with the next try. It just, just opened up like nothing, and away he went. And it took a lot of composure for Connacht to get back into the game. But, the 5th try, unbelievable. Look how flat Josh Ioane gets on the line. And then the support again from Ben Murphy. And this is what you're used to seeing from Connacht week in and week out. But their defence is just so shaky. We said it all season long last year. You cannot keep going on like this. And I know the defence coach's name, Scott Fardy, like, he was coming under pressure, and there was chat that, not that his job was on the line, but, there was questions starting to be asked. And I know you're only in the first game of the season, you're away from home against Munster, but like they conceded so many yards, gaps all over the place. But the try for me, the best try was the Hawkshaw try. Lovely handling again, Ioane, unbelievable offloads, just knowing exactly where they are. And it was just an unbelievable game. And both sides loved to throw it around. As I said, the defense was a bit all over the place at times, but really, really good, entertaining rugby. I'm not sure if it's just because there may be still a bit of pre-season mode that the defenses haven't quite clicked just yet. They'll hopefully tighten up over the next few weeks. But even off first phase, was it Cal Ford off first phase, just running through Tony Butler and scoring a try? Like, come on, like not at this level. That's
Stevie, you can't have 68 points in a game without missed tackles. So you can't really have it both ways. That's the thing. It was a really good game, loads of tries, exactly what people want. But with teams playing like that, you are susceptible to tries. You just got to try and outscore a team. But that's the game I'd rather watch than a
but even look at the rugby championship at the weekend. Like, some of the games, the amount of missed tackles was ridiculous, like off the charts. But it makes for a cracking game. There's absolutely no doubt. More line breaks, more offloads, more tries, and it definitely does make the game more attractive for people to watch. But if you're going to go on to try and finish higher in the league, the Connacht's defence has to tighten up. I think Munster's inevitably will tighten up. Of course it will. They've got to bring a lot of players back in, but that was a strong enough side there. Just big shout out to Ben Murphy. Also, Josh Murphy in the back row was fantastic for Connacht, putting himself about. He was injured for a long time last season. He'll be a big player for them this season. So, cracking game. And Just unlucky that Connacht couldn't get the away result they were looking for.
Steve, do you think is Jack Carty injured, or is he? Because what's the story? Because
Yeah.
I watched him. He's injured. Do you think if they're fit? And it's a hard question to answer because he's not. Would Josh Ioane be their number one? I watched that, and I'll be honest, I've never really seen him play before. But he suits the way they're trying to play far more than Jack Carty does when I look at that game.
Yeah, John, I totally agree with you. You cannot drop this guy like Josh Ioane. You cannot. He's a threat every time he gets his hands on the ball. Even in phase play, he reminds me that of Sexton, the way he's only like 2 or 3 yards away from the defence. He doesn't mind just dumping it off inside, outside, taking it on himself. And then all of a sudden, they get a bit of momentum. Then he comes flying onto the ball. And he's able to pick a pass or go himself. Yeah, where Carty always sits a little bit deeper. He kicks the ball a hell of a lot more. The only thing with Josh Ioane, he did hit the post with a kick that you would expect him to get, and he did miss touch in the final couple of minutes to give themselves the chance of potentially getting up the pitch to win a penalty. But that's just experience in the league. Will he be the same sort of player come the middle of winter at the sports ground down in Galway? We'll wait and see. But a brilliant debut for Josh Ioane.
Yeah, really impressive, mate. Really impressive. Brings us on to Benetton Scarlets, a draw, 20 apiece. Did you see any of this, John? Or
yeah, I watched kind of on and off and caught the highlights as well. Scarlets I can't decide whether Scarlets were unlucky or because they had a couple of tries chalked off, and their attack's never been the issue, really, has it? They've always had a decent attack, and it's still their defense. I still worry. First things first, I should say, I think they would take that draw based on where they were last year. They finished the season pretty well, but I just look at the squad and I look at the physical shapes of the players, and I just wonder when it gets, heavy and it gets, a bit more physical, where is that coming from for them? Because they're still light. They're super lightweight. I know they had a couple of injuries at tight end. Probably lost a couple of guys longer term. So that's that would be my question, and that's a recruitment and that's a money thing, which is it's hard to judge them too harshly on that. But I thought they looked more organised than they have done. They defended better in spells, but when it goes to multi-phase, they really struggle defensively. So good start, and I should say it's Gareth Davis' 250th match this weekend coming up. We can talk about that later, actually. But
yeah,
big one for him. But yeah, good game. Draw away from home at Benetton, which is a hard place to go and get results, so shouldn't be too critical.
No, first game up as well. There was opportunities. I think the Fafita try should have been a try. I don't think it was a rut was formed. So a little bit unlucky. There was also a crossfield kick, which didn't need to be kicked when they had an overlap. They looked a little bit susceptible out wide. Rotave is a difficult man. Yeah, he scored a double try.
Yeah, he is.
But I thought they deserved the win. I did, because Benetton came back right at the end, and I thought they'd just about done enough. Max Page took his chance really well. That's his second game. I think he came off the bench for one. Richard Whiffen, who is the under-20s coach, did an interview earlier this year and sort of said they asked him which of his players from last year do you think will make an impact mostly, and he sort of alluded to Max Page. Just powerful, explosive, took his try really well. They had to make a couple of late changes as well. Costello wasn't feeling well, so Johan Lloyd, I think, who was going to start at 12, ended up playing 10. So a little bit disjointed, but I thought defensively they looked a little bit better. I think they had a bit more line speed, and I think they've tried to bolster their pack with most of the signings this year. There are a lot of injuries, but I think that is the key for them is getting a big pack out. Fafita looked like he was struggling a little bit, so I hope he's all right. But I'm just filling here as I'm trying to find the ins and outs of the Scarlets, so I can give you some. Marnus van der Merwe has signed Alec Hepburn from the Chiefs up front.
Yeah, he's a good signing.
Yeah, Blair Murray look pretty good. So that they have signed. They've lost quite a few players, and sometimes you get that with seasons, don't you? A lot of players out of contract. Squads are a lot smaller at the moment. We all know Wales are off a 4.6 million budget at the moment. So they have.
I wouldn't say that the Scarlets deserve to win the game, Shanks. I'm not. I'm
I
not
think they
as
did.
well. They made twice as many tackles as Benetton did in the game, and I think that's what you're talking about. Their defense it looked to be a lot more assured than previous seasons, and they could take a lot from that for sure. But it felt like another. I know there wasn't, but another 5 minutes in that game, and Bennett would have just trucked on and got another couple of tries, and that's what for me the Scarlets need to do all
mate.
season is to hang in there. But, well,
No,
you disagree, but that's my opinion. But yeah, we'll see how the Scarlets get on this year.
A lot was played in that middle period, wasn't it? Loads of kicking. It wasn't the most exciting game, but I just thought they'd done enough. I thought 79 minutes when Benetton scored. I thought they'd done enough.
Nah.
Yeah, well, teams are always going to come back, aren't they? When they're losing, it's always going to be an exciting end.
Speaking of a team that was losing right at the death, Shanks, Ulster.
Were you both there for that?
No, I watched.
No, it was me and that madman Ryan Wilson. And it was good to have Zeebs there. Zebre won his Premier Sports debut. Good to
Zebo
have
can't walk. He can't walk and talk though, mate. He has to stop to talk.
Oh, what about that? That was hilarious. We both did.
Yeah. I felt sorry for the poor man. He drove 4.5 hours up. He had 3 tins of Red Bull and 6 coffees, and then he was full of beans. And then by the end of the night, he was absolutely busted, and he had to drive 4.5 hours back home. So I'm sure he was
sounds like me.
knackered.
Sounds like me.
He had to go to a kid's party on the Sunday too. So but no, Zeebs was good. I'm looking forward to working with him during the year. But yeah, Ulster, I thought they were fairly lucky. I know John watched the match. He'd probably agree with me. I thought the referee was very harsh on Glasgow, and especially at the breakdown. It's something that's been quite evident throughout all the games is the referees are just seem to let a lot of stuff go, like flopping over the rucks, just sealing off balls. When teams are on the ball, they'd rather the attacking team just clear them out after 2 or 3 ruck or 2 or 3 seconds without giving the penalty for holding on. And as a back row, when you're working your absolute nuts off to try and get over the ball, slow it down or win a penalty, and you're not being rewarded for that, it can become really, really frustrating. But yeah, the match that Ian Morgan charged down, and then he regathered, and a couple of phases later he got the try, and the game went to the death with Glasgow sort of in control for the most part. But was it a Rory Darge penalty, JB? Was it like on 76 minutes, something 77 minutes that give Ulster the field position, and then they went through I don't know how many phases, 25, 30 phases. Dave Shanahan come on, touched the ball down and got aside the victory. But you maybe listened to it, you maybe didn't. Richie Murphy, after the game, he joined us, lads, and he was like, honestly, for 50 minutes, it looked like we didn't know what we were doing. Like, it looked like in attack, we just didn't know what we were doing. Doki was looking one way, looking the other way. I'm not sure if Ian Morgan was taking control. Every time they were in possession, they were getting smoked back or smacked on the gain line. Ian Henderson, the captain, looking a big game from him. That didn't really come. And it wasn't until the bench was emptied and Glasgow's Tom Jordan got a yellow card that Ulster went, well, hold on a second here. Against 14 men, we've got Izuchukwu on, Harry Sheridan on, Dave Shanahan, a couple of others, and that just ignited them. And they played pretty good patient rugby for the last 15 minutes of that game and somehow ground out a result. Glasgow were much the better side on the night, but I think they'll be really disappointed that they didn't come away from Belfast with a win, because it numerous opportunities to put Ulster to the sword. Here we'll take the 4 points all day long from Ulster if you're playing like that, but they have to pick it up now, Shanks. They have to get better. They've left for South Africa today, Lions this week, Bulls next week, so it's going to be a big couple of weeks.
Game though. It's the first game, so you can't be.
Yeah, it's not their first game. Like, they've played Exeter, they played Benetton. I know, but it's at home, first game. You want to lay down a marker. You want to bring a physicality, an edge to your performance. Your defense coach is riling the life out of you, trying to get that out of you before you go onto the pitch, and they're both flat as a pancake. And it just felt like, where is this oomph going to come from? And it just happened when the bench empty. But like, you got to remember, Glasgow were down to 13 men. Like, you know, for
You're
for
the
our
type
time.
of guy. If I did all your washing up, Steve, you're the type of guy that would just be inspecting every plate, saying, "Nah, a little bit of food there.
Is that not our job to go through
Wash
things
it.
with a
Wash it again. Wash it
you know what I
again."
mean?
If you look at the game, first of all, well done, Ulster. Like they're missing loads of guys with injuries.
Yeah,
Loads
they
of
ground it out.
They ground it out. You watch that game, and I thought after 50 minutes, the first half in particular, I was like, how are Glasgow only a couple points ahead? I thought their defence looked unreal. They looked like exactly the team that finished the season last year. And then, a couple sin bins. But to your point, I was messaging it. Some of the refereeing decisions, and I know it's week one, some of the refereeing, I was like, what game are we playing here? The letting stuff go, guys getting dumped to him right and then getting penalised for not rolling away. Roy Darge had a clear holding on one right at the end, and just for 5 seconds, not blowing. Before that, also got advantage. He's on the ball for, again, 5 seconds. And it's like the rules didn't apply. So that being said, Glasgow, if you've got that much control, control over the game and you're looking good, they didn't get what they should have got out of the game. I thought Matt Ferguson was brilliant in the game. He was class.
He was.
He went off. I don't know what the injury is. He went off with an injury. Didn't look great. Jamie Dobby was good. Tom Jordan. But yeah, like you say, Shanks, it's game one. A long way to go. But I thought Glasgow. I know they lost. They got bonus point. I thought they looked pretty good.
Do you think, I'm going to set you up here, John, because you make great content at the end of the season. Do you think Glasgow can go all the way?
I think they can. Do I think they will? Probably not. I think Leinster will. It's the same every year. It's like if you look at the teams on paper, Leinster win it.
Can we do it again? So, and you just say yes, and then if they do it, then we got Okay, John, do you think Glasgow can go all the way and get back-to-back URC victories?
100%.
Brilliant.
Without a doubt. There we go. Cut that Fendi.
Wilson, and you can do the promo, and you can voice over the promo.
Yeah,
you can do it all. So that is the roundup of games of round one. What exciting round it was. Really enjoyed it. Fixtures, I think, were spot on, really close, exactly what you want, competitive. And a lot of these games went right to the end as well, which is exactly what we want as pundits, what fans want, a bit of jeopardy. We're going to do a new little feature this year on the pod, and that is Player of the Round.
We should maybe put this out, Shanks, to the social media audience before we actually come on to do the pod. So get Premier Sports to tweet it out who the fans think should be the player of the round.
Well, then we do ours, or we just let them pick.
Yeah, or we could agree or disagree.
Okay.
Instead of us messaging back and forth, but yeah, it's only an idea.
Right.
Ben, sort of.
Okay, so the player of the round this year. Have we decided this round? We have decided. It is Ben Murphy. Stevie, you were really impressed with his game, weren't you?
Yeah, really, really impressed. Do you know, you have Craig Casey, you have Conor Murray, and you have Gibson Park. You know, you have three Irish scrum halves. Conor Murray is only signed a 1-year deal extension. You have Craig Casey, who we know is a bit of a live wire, brings a lot of energy. Ben Murphy's running game was unbelievable. Really, really good. He's not scared to take the ball flat. He's got a great pass on him. Like any good scrum half, he's always trailing. He's always looking for any bits of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but any little mistakes
crumbs.
That's the one, crumbs. But yeah, he's absolutely electric. He's the son of Richie Murphy, Ulster coach. And I think he's certainly one to watch this season. I was really, really impressed. 2 tries, 1 assist, and a hell of a lot of meters made.
Well, congratulations, Ben Murphy. You are our URC Unloaded Player of the Round. Rants of the week, lads.
Yeah. I'll go after JB.
I don't have one. I'm refereeing. It'll probably be the same every week. Refereeing. Come on. Sort it out. Embarrassing.
All right.
Oh, but who's Ben White followed me? Ben Whitehouse, is that his name? Ben Whitehouse? He followed me on Instagram friends now. So
Ooh,
I think he's looking for me not to give him a hard time in games, but sorry, Ben.
He does do a lot of TMOs, Ben.
Yeah, he likes a TMO.
He is, yeah. He
TMO.
does a fair few TMOs. Stevie, any rants?
Yeah, I turned up to the Kingspan, went down to get some food, and walked up, ordered my spring rolls, ordered my chicken. I think it was honey chili chicken and rice. Sat down with Mark Robson. He's back, and started eating it. And the chicken was freezing cold.
Oh,
I was like, all right, okay. So I went back over. I says, look, chicken's cold there. They were like, is it, love? I says, yeah, it is. Right, hang on there a second. I was like, right, okay. So they got the thermometer out, put it into like the chicken. And I was like, she kept like, choosing different bits. I was like, this isn't right. She goes, hold on a second, love. I says, right. So the next thing, there's another couple of scoops of chicken, some rice, and all I heard was ding. It's been put into the microwave for like 5 minutes. And I was like, look, I gotta go. I gotta get back on air here. I'm working. She goes, it's all right. I'm just gonna put it on for another couple of minutes here to make sure it's piping hot. And I just went, you know what? Stuff this out of there. So I left my food. So the receipt that I put in for my food for Premier Sports, I didn't actually eat it. So yeah, that was a big rant. They need to get the food sorted out, especially the honey chili chicken.
I'll jump in on that. I went home. I had a migraine. I didn't get a single drop of water. Not a scrap of food at the game. So Premier Sport, can you sort it out, please? I ended up going for a mixed grilled kebab with Ryan Wilson after the game, and the food looked like, well, it didn't look. I was eating. When you're eating something, I'm like, I'm gonna have diarrhea in the morning. This is gonna be bad. And I got through the night though, and it was fine. But if we can just look after talent, guys, it's important that we're well fed.
Well, in fairness to Ben, he did just after halftime. He did run up a couple of chicken gravy and chips, which were absolutely exquisite. They weren't from the same place that I got my honey chili chicken. That's for sure.
Do you know the mixed grill kebab, John? I quite like them because you get a bit of the dirty meat in there as well as a bit of sheesh.
Oh yeah,
you get a bit of the big leg, the big rotated leg.
The leg was getting heated up again. I was like, oh, this is all bad. The lamb was really chewy, and Wilson and he thought it was unbelievable. He was loving it.
Yeah. What's yours, Shanks?
It's the Shanks. I got it bad.
Oh yeah, you got the Shanks.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who's to blame. Like I'm talking Shanks from about 100 yards out in golf. I'm talking a little chip onto the green. I shanked. I played with the chairman of the European tour on, when was it? What day is it? Monday. And I mean, he was telling everyone after, he's going, this guy here, pointing to me, he's going +3 off the tee. He's driving. Wow. It's the rest of his game, -36. He said I was so bad, honestly. Do you know, like when you golf, I love golf. We all love golf. And when you don't think about it, you just hit it and you play all right. But when you're standing over the ball and you're thinking, oh shit. I'm
going to shank it. What hole did you hit?
What the fuck is going on here? Excuse me.
What hole did you hit your first shank?
Third hole, I think.
No. Early door.
You got to laugh them off. I once was shanking in a golf day, and I was playing with a guy who's handicapped 28, and I started shanking about 8 holes in, and by the 15th hole, this guy plays off 28. He's giving me swing tips. So I went to the range afterwards and just cemented in the shank, which is the worst. I hit 50 balls, shanked 40 of them. I didn't play golf for another 4 months. I was like, I can't do this.
I also got stitched in the auction after. I bid on a 4-ball at Wentworth and a 4-ball at Sunningdale. I thought, I'll take a couple of customers. Anyway, the bid went higher, and I was actually quite happy that I was out. And then some guy stood up and said, I will offer a 4-ball at Bearwood Lakes and a 4-ball at Wentworth if Shanks wants to match the other guy. We'll do it twice. And I got Martin Bayfield, who's doing the auction. He's looking at me, and I thought, oh, what can I do here? Can I fake to be sick or something?
Yeah.
And I looked at Bayfield and I said, well, I can't say no, can I? And I had to do it. And then I looked at my phone, and Andrew Cotter, who invited me, there's a message from him come up on my phone. It was like, no.
How much did they cost you, Shanks?
Oh, I can't say, mate. I'm not like
This
that.
is expense to the business, mate.
It's
yeah. I did an auction once, and it was. Do you know the start? It was like every table had a padlock on it, and they're all different colors. And so after the start, I could ever stand up if your padlock doesn't blah blah blah, and you get through. And I was one of the last three, so they call you on stage, and I get on stage, and I won a brand new iPad. And everyone through the night had given the prizes back to charity to be re-auctioned again. They're like, you're going to put it back in? I was like, absolutely not. Got booed.
I wish I'd said no.
Oh, yeah. I was 18, didn't have an iPad. I was like,
John, you were down to play in this golf event, weren't you? So there was loads of people there. There was loads of big names, and I couldn't buckle under pressure.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't go.
He felt really sorry for me, Andrew Cotter did, on the way out. So he gave me this massive bottle of Whispering Angel, which was sponsoring the day, which Eddie Pepperell had won, and he had to shoot off. So Andrew Cotter was keeping that for him. He just gave it to me and said, just have this.
Oh,
it's huge. It's a Jeroboam or something.
Oh, baby.
It's massive. Anyway.
We have Jeroboam, so we go skiing, man. We love that.
Oh, I bet you do. Put it in the kids' bottles. Right, that is it, guys. Final thoughts for round 2. Leinster versus the Dragons. That is Friday night at the Viva Stadium. I think there's only going to be one winner there. Could be a bit of a crash down to earth for the Dragons. But what can you do? Leinster at home. It's a tough gig for everyone.
Yeah, that's why the fact they won last week is tough if they go and you haven't lost, but they've got one on the board. I think
exactly.
It sounds horrible. It will be a damage limitation.
The South African teams are back now, so Glasgow, Benetton, John should be formality for Glasgow.
Yeah, I think so. I think Glasgow will win that well. Benetton didn't look that good, so
Stevie, Ulster at the Lions.
Tough game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. McCluskey's back, Cooney's back, but the emerging Ireland tour, I know we didn't discuss it, we'll maybe discuss it next week. It's a bit of a disadvantage, isn't it, for some of the Irish provinces?
Yeah.
Of course, not Leinster because of their squad depth, but when you look at the Ulster losing 5 or 6 players, it is pretty tough, especially Izachukwu and Harry Sheridan. So I think they're going to get it tight, especially up front. But you just don't know with this Ulster side. Like they might spring a bit of a surprise. But I'm going to go for a Lions win.
Okay, Bulls Edinburgh.
Bulls,
yeah.
Bulls.
So, Zebre Munster, which is over in Italy. I think Munster.
I think it's going to be tight, Shanks. I think Munster, but I think at home, Italian side, bit of passion. I think it'll be a lot closer than what we think.
Scarlets Cardiff. I think this is going to be another close game. And when it is close, I sort of think the Scarlets might have taken maybe a little bit more from the game than Cardiff did in terms of confidence. I'm going to go with the home team, Scarlets.
I'm going for the home team.
Yeah.
To mention it, 250 game home win.
Yeah, a bit of emotion there. Yeah. Connacht versus the Sharks, Stevie.
Did the Sharks win there last year? I'm not sure. Ooh. Maybe wrong.
They were poor last year, so chances are probably not.
I'm going to go for Connacht. I think Mac Hansen, good 80 minutes under his belt. Cordero was absolutely terrible last week. Like he needs to step it up big time, man. Yeah, that was embarrassing. So yeah,
should be around.
Yeah.
No, I think Sharks my dark horse here, but I still think Connacht at home. Yeah. Joshua.
Who's your dark horse last year, John?
Scarlets. I think Sharks again.
No, Stevie, you were the Scarlets, weren't you?
Scarlets,
yeah.
No. I was Glasgow.
You were Scarlets, Shanks, weren't you?
Yeah, right. I persuaded Stevie to go as well. I persuaded Stevie to go Scarlets as well. Ospreys Stormers, that is the last game. These
Stormers.
quite difficult to call without seeing the teams and what
Stormers,
teams are
yeah.
coming over. I'm going to go Ospreys
Stormers.
at home. I'm actually not sure where it is. They're going to play a couple of games at the Brewery Field this year until they move to St Helens, which I think is next year. But I'm going to go Ospreys.
Is the JB's truck going to be there? JB's, what do you call the back of the cab?
Yeah. It's a stand.
Yeah.
It's a temporary stand.
The Barclay stand, yeah.
The Barclay stand, yeah.
Stormers win for me.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I go Stormers.
no, it won't be them. Just so you know, everyone watching and listen to this, Premier Sports is your home for the EPCR Champions Cup beginning this December with all 63 games live. With every game live in the URC, the best games from the top 14 and the Challenge Cup. Rugby is on an absolute another level with Premier Sports. So visit www.premiersports.com for more information. Guys, that's it. Thank you for joining me. We will be back next week after round 2. Hope you've enjoyed.
I won't be here next week.
Here we go.
Why?
Well, my wife's having a baby.
Whee!
So
let us know.
Hopefully all goes to plan, boys.
Yeah. Thinking of you. Let us know. Hope everything's good, mate. And
cheers, lads.
Get your sleep in now. All right.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
All right, boys. Thank you very much.